Welcome back to the podcast called Tell the World, and I'm your host. Happy Wednesday, guys. Happy Wednesday. We are back. We are back on the show. Um, how's everybody out there doing? Is this the last month of summer? Is this the last month of what they call it Indian summer? Is this the last month of Indian summer? Because the humidity is crazy. And it seems like every time I put on a shirt, I feel like I'm just gonna freak and just sweat everything out. When I lived in Texas, y'all, everything that I put on, I just started to sweat so bad. The humidity is so bad out there. So sometimes you move different places and you learn how, you're just gonna complain about the weather regardless. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. Too cold, too hot, too humid, too windy, too dusty. So that's where I'm at right now. But I believe this is the month of Indian summer where everything just gets a little bit more hotter. You get that last week or two of a warm, hot weather, and then we jump definitely into fall. I can see the leaves falling, so I believe this is the end of the month for Indian summer. What do you guys think? Here's a conversation I want to have with everybody. Does motivation, does anybody motivation sometimes feel like it's garbage? Do you feel like it's a waste of time? And why action beats feelings, right? See, look, for me, my motivation comes from inspiration of others, inspiration of what I see, something that captivates me, something that draws me in, something that does tap into my feelings, does tap into my soul, and it could be a tree, it could be it could be a leaf, it could be somebody doing something that inspires me. Sometimes my motivation comes from words. I'm drawn into words that captivate my soul and tap into me a way where I get inspired. Do people get inspired by other people? Is it is it okay to be inspired by others? Some people say that being inspired by others is not good, but I say it is because we all live here on planet Earth and we want to sometimes be inspired by others. What does inspiration come from good things? Yes. Can inspiration come from bad things? Yes, it can. But for most of us, that's in a point of our lives where we don't feel a bit inspired. And so sometimes you lose will, you lose just having any resolution to life of how you're living it, right? Because a lot of times the way we're living it is based on how we're feeling it. Sometimes I may have a crappy day and I don't feel like doing a podcast, and sometimes I put it on hold, right? But there's critical moments in my life where I feel like I get inspired by something that catches me when I'm not feeling in a good place, right? Um, what about the rat race of inspiration? What when others are doing it, right? Others are out there doing the inspirational things. We all deal with things differently. Our energies of how we deal with things are different from each other, right? But there's a moment in time for some of us who don't have that motivation. Sometimes we do get inspired by something in life. It could be a dream, right? It could be a dream that came through that night that you were dreaming that wakes you up the next day and you're thinking about that dream and you get inspired, right? A lot of great people, right? And a lot of people, regular folks, get inspired by something in life that caught them, that captured them in a moment where they really needed it, right? Where people do need that inspiration. So I feel like inspiration is not garbage unless you're Grumpy the Smurf. You guys ever seen Grumpy the Smurf? How he keeps his hands folded, his arms arched, arched in, where he just shrugged with a grumpy look, with his back turned on the other Smurfs. What a drag, right? But what if you do get motivation and you lose it, right? Because sometimes motivation may not be enough, right? Why is motivation not enough in our lives? Like, what makes us feel like motivation is not enough? um, a lot of shit can be going on in life, and sometimes your tolerance gets wore down where your short temperament is just not there. You just all over the place with yourself, and you can't really focus on the motivation like others can. Zoom in, take advantage of it, right? So sometimes motivation fails. Has my motivation failed sometimes? Yes. Why did it fail? Well, I say I didn't put my all into it because I lost focus. And sometimes with others, we lose focus and we lose that motivation, right? It's like studying. You're ready to study, but then you just lose studying because your concentration gets knocked off. So you lose that bit of concentration of just trying to pass a test or just trying to focus on just basic studying, right? Because distraction comes in. But what if your motivation just feels like garbage where you stop believing in it, where you just lose it? You know, um, Motivation for me, right? So I've started things, right, in my life, and I got the ball rolling, I got going, and life can be life in y'all because sometimes stuff goes down, stuff happens, and you just have to put it on hold, or you just stop doing it, or you just lose your focus on doing it. So now your attention is attracted to something else. That motivation has been lost. So now we're motivated into other things that don't seem to motivate us, right? A lot of things in life don't motivate us, right? But are you motivated in the things that got you tuned in, zoomed in, right? You can be zoomed in on stress. That's motivation. What? To keep stressing. You may not believe that. But the more you stress, it is like a race. It is like your motivation because you don't know how to turn it off. You don't know how to control it, right? We all been there. I've been there where I'm zoomed in on something that has distracted me and I feel like I have to put my all into it, and now it's starting to consume me and get my attention. Now it has grabbed parts of me that I don't want to grab on. What? My feelings, my heart, my eyes, my ears. Trust me, the human itself hears. Your ears hear so much shit. Your brain absorbs so much garbage, right? That's what your motivation does turn into because you have zoomed in more garbage than anything. So it is like a bird shot. Boom, boom. You have shot your motivation down because other things have grabbed your attention. So a lot of things, knock you out of whack. So you do have to set aside yourself. What's that? Take time out for yourself, just you, in a space where you feel comfortable at, and try to focus on your thoughts. Just stay quiet to yourself, zoom in what you're hearing, and you tell me if that part of motivation is there in you, and why is your mind so zoomed in into the trash parts of life that keeps you stressed, that keeps you down, where motivation just makes you feel like everything is garbage and you don't have no feelings, no energy for anything. Everything just got your attention into one spot. Or you just lose yourself all over the place. This happens too when you spread yourself around what? Your ears, your thoughts, your eyes, your footwork. Yes, your footwork. Where you going? Where are you carrying yourself? This is your thoughts, your ears. It's taking you into places that you don't want to be, but for some reason, it has grabbed hold of you. Yes, garbage can motivate you what? To stay in more garbage. You're zooming into more garbage. Garbage minds, motivation can become garbage, but we also lose control of what we're taking on in our lives. And our priorities sometimes gets knocked out of whack, right? Our priorities get knocked out of whack, and so we're all over the place. And it just feels like a bunch of garbage. Garbage thoughts, right? Garbage movements. What? A lot of things that you're doing that's wasting your time becomes a lot of spreaded garbage. where you're just all over the place. These are just metaphors when I mean garbage and motivation within garbage living of yourself because you wasn't like that before, right? As a kid, you were inspired to want to be a doctor or a lawyer, a police officer, a fireman. You know, the typical things that captivate children, children's minds, right? These things captivate us, y'all. It draws us in. It's just things that used to be in us that was so inspiring, right? So inspiring in us that we lost that touch, right? Sleepwalking in life, right? Sleepwalking. This is part of garbage, sleepwalking, where you just feel like a zombie, right? And you don't feel like there's nothing else left for you in life, but you don't know how to come out of that because most of the time, motivational garbage thoughts of how we're living puts us in that wasteland of ourselves where we just feel like, hey, I'm just blowing garbage in my head. You know, I'm just all over the place. So you do have to get control of yourself before you lose yourself, right? Get control of yourself before you lose yourself. Look, you're on the best podcast right now, and we're having great conversation right now. These are things that typically people go through. I've been through it. I'm more relatable than just a conversation. I've been through it before. I've been through that wasteland of my mind before. I've lost control of myself. I've lost my heart. I've lost my desire. I've been there, but I had to find myself before I just lost control or lost completely control of myself, where I don't care about anything. Like I just feel like I don't care about anything, and it's normal to feel like that. These are those um, that angel and that devil on your shoulder that puts you in that garbage mind thinking, and you don't know how to fix it. You don't know how to come out of it, which could be a loop, right? It could be a loop. It could be a loop in your life, right? Like right now, I am challenging myself to do this show in a closed room studio, right? I got open glass. I got people passing me by, and I'm facing people right now, okay? I'm facing all kinds of people, ordinary people, people that are holding signs. People are doing things, people are reading books. But I choose to do this podcast in front of people because I challenge myself to be able to be in front of any audience when I'm doing this show, right? So instead of being feared in my garbage thoughts, right? That's to just hide myself away with my back turned. That's not motivating me, right? That's not motivating me. I am challenging myself. I am challenging myself to do this show in front of people. So when people pass me by, they are seeing me do this show, right? So I always challenge myself. But sometimes we get lost into garbage thoughts and garbage ways where we don't have nothing good to think about and just a feeling, which is a chemical imbalance in your life where you just don't feel inspired. I am inspired by people. I am inspired by things I see. I vivid have dreams that direct me, that show me things. And, you know, in life, we all are trying to get there, right? But God gives us another chance, right? Where you put those steps in your life, right? Put those steps in your life to get you there. How do you get the ball rolling? How do you get things going in your life? How do you get motivated? What motivates you? Do your motivation feels a bit like scattered garbage thoughts where you just don't have no motivation about anything. It just feels like life is dead. Everything in your thoughts just feels very trashed up and you just don't feel it. You know, I felt like that sometimes. And I know those thoughts there. I know that feeling that makes you feel like life sucks right now. Life sucks. But you just have to just go through it and just feel it in the moment. And sometimes you do have to take a shower or a hot bath until you just wing it off you, get it off you until you find yourself, right? It's real important to find yourself back in life because if you don't do it, garbage thoughts, motivation in life that becomes garbage consumes, it builds up. Everything around you just feels like there's no life, there's no motivation. You just feel like, hey, this is what's left of me. And I don't care what age you feel it, whatever. It is true that you can come out of these things, right? This is where fear versus your courage of yourself, right? Fear versus your courage of yourself. Putting yourself in place to have an inspiration, to get to motivation, right? Get to motivation. It's just so important to get there. And sometimes you may not get there through other people's. Sometimes you may not see it, but you have to find what motivates you. Sometimes it's spiritual, right? Sometimes it just comes upon us. You just feel motivation. So it's never easy when you're feeling those garbage thoughts in your mind, in your heart, in your direction, how you move in life, right? This is called push through when motivation feels like it failed you, where you feel like things have failed in life, where you just feel like there's no hope. I've been there. I know the feeling, right? I know the feeling where it just wants to consume you in doubt of yourself, right? It wants to consume you in doubt. Motivation for me is very spiritual to me because something is trying to push me through where I see hope for myself, right? I see hope for myself. It's just so important to still have hope. I know a lot of people say, don't have hope. Don't have hope. That's people that's got more courage than you, than me. I've lost my courage. I lost it many times, but I've found my courage back. Sometimes I speak my courage back in me because I know who I am, right? I know my motivation that's inside me. It's there. And when I lose it, I know it's still in me. It didn't lose me because it's still inside of me. It just takes me outside of this shell here to go deep inside and find myself, find my motivation to get it back. My life, my purpose is to inspire. My life, my purpose is to motivate, is to motivate others. Sometimes I motivate myself through others because I find my purpose through people. That's my purpose. Sometimes you can find your motivation through people. That's why they tell you sometime to go out there and uh, um, uh, do good deeds, right? This called fulfilling your heart, making you feel better when your heart feels bad. Finding your heart, motivate yourself. Go do good deeds for others out there who deserve those good deeds that's from you. Sometimes you got to put the work in. You got to put the work in. See, we lose a lot of that motivation because in life we feel like we've done so much for others that there's nothing inside of us that we feel like others are not motivating us. Life sucks, don't it, when you feel that way? That's why you have to see the good in you by doing things good for other folks out there that are in need of just a little support. Because what halts you may not be a halt. Sometimes you just got to just do some good things in life so you can get the spirit back, get that motivational feeling back, and that drive back in yourself. This is when you find purpose in yourself because now you're fulfilling yourself the way that you need to be, the way that you know how you move, what triggers you, right? What triggers you? Those things that, we figure out about ourselves, our triggers. But do we look for motivation or do we look for the garbage of motivation in life? Those are things that sometimes you have to get alone to yourself to address yourself about addressing yourself. I have addressed myself many times. Many times I talk to myself through all these feelings. These feelings are, I feel like my feelings are different people, different egos of myself, right? There are different egos of myself that I have to address and see what's holding me back, what's causing me to be in this loop. There's only one person that can motivate you inside. You just have to find that person that is more reasonable to be a part back into your life again, like it was before, right? Like it was before. These are developments of yourself. You know how good you are. You know your worth, right? We all do. Some people feel like motivation is overrated, but that's how they're feeling. So, I can't knock them down. It's just that they lost it and they don't have no feeling for it. It's not there. They can't pull it back in at that moment in time because they're going through something. And sometimes, you have to understand that without judgment of others, you understand that. Sometimes these dopamines in our lives, sometimes they spike us and where we get to the point where we lose those dopamines, where we don't have that drive, that energy, that gusto in our lives, right? Sometimes people say, well, just wait until you feel it. Sometimes people can wait for it to come, but sometimes you have to do some work yourself to get that motivation going, right? Get it sparked up. Can you imagine how many people plan for New Year's and they got a New Year resolution where they want to just do this, do that, and then maybe a month later or two, they're not talking about it anymore. That's why I don't do New Year's resolutions because I feel like I don't want to grade myself that way. I want to grade myself as I go. And then, yeah, I may give myself an evaluation within a month to see where I'm at. Do I still have that same drive in myself? Do I still feel motivated, right? In real life, feelings are inconsistent. Like, it's life, y'all. You're going to feel up and down. You're not going to always keep it there, right? This is why you surround yourself with people that inspire you, that keep you going. You're not using them, right? But as humans, we need each other, right? We need each other. Yes, if you're around a crowd of folks that have inconsistent of motivation, that's what you're going to be plugged into. That's what you're going to become within that circle. So you do have to place yourself around people that are doing inspirational things, motivating things. Somebody that can just know how to keep pushing you through, right? Because a lot of people can take that from us where we don't feel that no more. Sometimes it just takes one person to knock your motivation out your life where you don't have that feeling no more. You just lost it. Somebody can say, hey, 3 months ago, that person had all kinds of motivation until they met that person and now they're not doing it no more. Life sucks, right? It does. In that case, because sometimes people can be a drag in your life and come in for the wrong reasons. I encourage every listener to pick one goal and start it today. If you can't start today, start it tomorrow. If you can't start it tomorrow, start it next week. No waiting for motivation. Just find the time in your life. If you have to organize the way you want your motivation to be so you don't lose it, yes, plan it, write it down, and pick those days that you're going to stay motivated and use it like that. Sometimes I have to do that too, right? But sometimes I need a push, y'all. I sometimes need a push I need somebody out here. I don't care if it is a palm tree. I don't care if it's whatever out here. My soul is captured by beautiful things in life that enlightens me, right? That's what I'm captured by, what enlightens me. That's a good feeling inside of me that I never want to lose about myself. I don't want to lose that. Some people think motivation is garbage. Sounds wild, right? But think about it. How many times have you waited to feel motivated and ended up scrolling your day away, right? Motivation is a spark, but sparks fade fast, right? Because we go through things. And what actually moves your life forward isn't waiting for that feeling. It takes those small steps sometimes for yourself so you can get to, you know, feeling motivated. Something gets you inspired. It's steps to this. It's just steps. And sometimes it doesn't come on our spirit. Sometimes it's got to come from people, right? Good people around you, your circle, people. Sometimes it's got to come from your surrounding. And if it's not, you got to eliminate that, right? This is what this episode is about. This is what this episode is all about. As I close this show out, don't wait to feel it. Sometimes you got to get out there and do the work, y'all. Sometimes you got to get out there and do the work. This concludes Tell the World podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. And you guys have a blessed Wednesday.